Welcome students, welcome to the next session of Strength of Materials 1. So in the previous class we have started our derivation which is regarding pure bending theory. There we have generated a relation between stress variation along the depth of the beam, strain variation along the depth of the beam, and also we have located where is the neutral axis. So there we have got our neutral axis which is nothing but line of intersection between the neutral layer and the transverse section is being coincided, and that neutral axis is located at the centroidal axis of the cross section of the beam. Okay. In today's class, we are going into the next concept which is moment of resistance offered by the section. The firstly, due to a beam being subjected to simple bending, the tensile and compressive stresses will be exerted on each layer. As we have mentioned that condition only, as I am subjecting some pure bending action. What is happening? Each individual layer is having different stresses. Some are getting contracted, some are getting expanded. Okay. So, due to the beam which is being subjected to bending only, even though the beam being subjected to bending only, each layer of the beam is having some compressive stresses, some are having some tensile stresses. Okay. Due to these stresses, forces will be exerted. As once the stress is there, maybe at a layer I am having sigma as the stress. So, what is the force? Sigma into dA, area of that particular element. We have generated, right? So, due to these stresses, forces will be exerted on the layers. Some forces are being exerted onto the layers, and these forces will have a moment about the neutral axis. As we have considered dA and we have considered moment. Area moment we have considered for the layer. Now, there is a force in the layer. Okay. Some dF force is there in the layer, and this dF force is having some force moment on the neutral axis. About neutral axis, when we consider any layer with a cross section. So, what we have said, I am observing a neutral axis and I am observing a layer like this. Okay. This layer is having an area as dA. Okay. dA is area of that particular, and this layer is at a distance of y. Okay. From the neutral axis it is like this. And in the previous step of locating neutral axis, I have used area moment dA into y. That dA into y has caused some moment of area moment, and later we came into the condition. Now I am thinking this small layer is having some force acting. Yes, that force value is sigma times dA, right? This small layer dA is having some force application on that layer. As I am considering above the neutral axis, some compressive force. So, some compressive force is acting at this layer. Okay. That force is causing some movement. Force into perpendicular distance is there. So, that force is causing some movement about the neutral axis. Okay. These forces will have movement about the neutral axis. The total movement of forces about the neutral axis is being known as moment of resistance of the section. Is being known as moment of resistance of that particular section. So, what it is being there? Even when I am applying some bending load. Okay, I am applying simply some bending load, but due to that bending action, some tensile stresses, some compressive stresses are being acting. Due to this stress action, some force will be generated. Each layer will have some force, whatever it is. Neutral layer will have zero stress and zero force, but the top layers will have compressive force, the bottom layers will have tensile force, and each force is causing some movement about the neutral axis line. So, each force in that layer is causing some movement in the neutral axis. So, summation of all those layer movements, force movements, summation of all those force movements of a section can be called as moment of resistance of the section. So, this is the definition for the moment of resistance. This is happening this may occur of forces, and those forces will cause some moments. Summation of all those moments I am calling them as moment of resistance of the section. Now we have seen that force on a layer of cross section area dA at a distance y from the neutral axis. So again I am considering a cross section from the neutral axis. It is at a distance y and having dy, and this is appearing like this, and the middle or the layer's area is indicated as dA. Okay, this layer's in area is indicated as dA and it is being located at a distance y. Now force on that layer, as in the previous step also we have generated from the Young's modulus condition. So Young's modulus is equal to stress by strain in the layer. So stress in the layer I am indicating as sigma. Strain in the layer we are indicating as which is E, right? And this sigma I have got some other thing. So due to the arrangement we have got sigma is equal to E into y by r. Next, this is sigma only, and we are having dA. Multiplying this sigma's answer, multiplying this area, we will get stress into cross-sectional area. Stress into area of cross-section is force in that particular area. Okay, force on that particular area dF is equal to E by y into r into dA. Stress in that particular layer into dA. So E into y by r. Okay, E by r into y. Anyway, you can write. So E into y by r into dA is the force on that particular layer only, and moment corresponding to this force, when I know in this layer I am having some dF force. Okay, this layer is causing some dF force. So this force into moment. So force moment is called as force into perpendicular distance, dF into y. That dF into y is equal to dF value E into y by r into dA, as it is I am taking here, and into the corresponding perpendicular distance. E into y by r times dA is the force acting, and into perpendicular distance is the moment on the layer. So with that rearrangement I have got E into y square by r times dA, Ey square by r dA. That is the moment in the moment in the force. Okay, moment in that layer corresponding to that dF force. Now, hence the total moment of the force about the neutral axis. So, as I have already mentioned, one layer is having some one moment. Maybe moment due to force in one layer. Moment due to force in only one layer, that is E y square by r times dA. And so many layers are there. So many layers were there. Each layer is exerting some moment. Now again, integration of this moment in one layer will cause the total moment of the forces about the neutral axis. So that answer is equal to integral of E into y square by r times dA. Integral E y square by r times dA. But this answers integration, as this is for the one layer and this integration for the total layers. And this total layers moment is equal to the applied bending moment on the section. So applied bending moment is being equal to the total moment of resistance offered by the section. So that M is equal to integral E y square by r times dA. As we have already know, E and R we can take out, integral y square dA is the term we left. So E by r integral y square dA. So in the first chapter, in your engineering mechanics also, you have enough clarity with integral y dA, integral y square dA. What this y into dA is, first area moment A into y. Area into perpendicular distance is the area into y, and A into y square, second area moment. Okay, second area moment I will indicate as moment of inertia. Integral y square dA or A y square. Anywhere you can write like this. A into y square, second area moment. Okay, so some area is there. That area 2 times multiplication with the perpendicular distance. This answer you will get as the moment of inertia of that particular area. Okay, so integral y square dA I am replacing with Ixx. E by r into Ixx. What is this Ixx? Ixx is the moment of inertia. The moment of the area about the nodal axis of the centroidal axis. Second moment of area. First moment of area is integral y dA, only y dA. Okay. First moment of area. Area into perpendicular distance is the first moment of area. Second moment of area means y square dA. Integral y square dA is the second moment of area or the moment of inertia. Ixx I will indicate as the moment of area about the nodal axis or the centroidal axis. So I am indicating as m is equal to E by R times Ixx, right? So I am taking that Ixx to the down. M by Ixx is equal to E by R. As this M by Ixx is equal to E by R, I can write, already we have generated another relation between sigma and y and E by R. Sigma by y is equal to E by R, right? So this step we have got. Now we have got M divided by I is equal to E by R. Okay, so thus M by I is equal to E by R. Here sigma by y is equal to E by R. A is equal to B, B is equal to C. So A is equal to B is equal to C. I am writing it as M by Ixx is equal to sigma by y is equal to E by R, where sigma B is also known as flexural stress or the bending stress. There I will indicate as sigma. I have already mentioned there itself. Sigma or sigma B we will cause, because even though it is in a tensile nature or in compressive nature, but it is generating due to the flexure action or flexural stress action. So sigma B or the FB we can write. So even though it is FB, that is a stress indication only. Okay. For our convenience, I am writing as M by Ixx is equal to E by R is equal to FB by y. FB means stress corresponding to bending. Okay. Stress corresponding to bending action. This above equation. So this whole equation we will call it as pure bending equation. For the reference, you can say M by I is equal to sigma by y is equal to E by R. M by I is equal to sigma by y is equal to E by R. If you are having a confusion, what is the numerator, what is the denominator, there will be a simple coding. Okay, the above equation is known as the bending equation, and this can be remembered using this sentence: Elizabeth, Rani, may I follow you? Elizabeth, Rani, may I. Sigma is replaced with F only for that purpose only. Otherwise, that is the stress only. Okay. May I follow you? E by R, M by I, F B by Y. E by R is equal to M by I is equal to F B by Y. Or if you are having a continuous practice without even getting this code also, you can write M by I is equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. In this way also you can write. Or if you have this condition, Elizabeth, Rani, may I follow you. Okay. This is the coding for the overall pure bending equation. So in this way we are completing the pure bending equations generation. Now we are going when or which cases this pure bending theory or the conditions will be followed. Okay. Conditions for the simple bending on the flexural rigidity. Okay. Now bending equation is applicable. Okay. This bending equation or pure bending equation or pure bending theory. So this is the overall pure bending equation, or with the coding E by R, M by I, F B by Y. In this way also you can remember. Okay, whatever it is, just a small rearrangement from the left term to right term, not with the changing of any other numerator, denominator, and not at all changing. Okay, bending equation is applicable to a beam which is being subjected to pure bending. As we already know, this bending equation came from the pure bending condition, a beam with zero shear force. Okay, that condition only I have taken out. That is, the bending moment is acting on the beam, that is constant, and the shear stress or the shear forces are zero. Only the bending moment is acting. There is no shear force on the beam. Such type of beam segments only will become under pure bending theory. However, in practical applications, the bending moment varies from section to section. As we have already given so many bending moment diagrams, what it is saying, from point to point bending moment is varying. That's why we have got different plots, right? Bending moment diagram. Okay. In practical application, the bending moment varies from section to section and the shear force is not at all zero. Continuously the shear force may not be zero. At every section I am to having the shear force because the bending moment is changing. Shear force is also changing and it is not value as zero. Now, but in the section where the bending moment is maximum, the shear force is zero. Yes, this condition I know. At the point where the shear force is equal to zero, the point will have the maximum bending moment. Okay, the shearing force is zero and that point will have the maximum bending moment. Hence, the bending equation is valid for the section where the bending moment is maximum, because when we observe the bending moment diagram, we are having some different answers. Okay, so what it is saying, from point to point the bending moment's value was different, but SF is equal to 0 point and that point is having the maximum bending moment. Hence, but in the section where the bending moment is a maximum, there the shear force is equal to 0. Hence, the bending equation is valid for this section. Section means at a length of L by 2 I have observed this section. So, at this section, hence the bending equation is valid for the section where the bending moment is maximum, because there the shear force is equal to 0. Or in other words, the condition of a simple bending may be satisfied at a section where the bending moment is maximum. In generally, every segment, we have taken an example for pure bending. So, considering the overhanging beam, on that side and this side point load, and in between we have got zero shear force and constant bending moment, right? That segment only valid for the pure bending theory. But in practical case, every segment with zero shear force we will not have. Every section will have variation of shear forces, variation of bending moments. In those conditions, this pure bending theory we can't use. So, what we have went through, we came into a conclusion. What is that? At a section where the shear force is equal to 0, that section will have maximum bending moment. Okay, in that section only the bending equation is valid. Okay, the condition of simple bending is satisfied or valid at a section where the bending moment is maximum. That section only this equation will be valid. Therefore, the beams and the structures are designed using the bending equation considering the section of maximum bending moment only. So, whatever is the bending on the beam, different points are having different bending moments. But considering the maximum bending moment on the beam, that section's maximum bending moment value, we are going to design what is the requirement. So, analysis and design, these two are different. What is analysis and what is design? Analysis means we are having an existing structure like a beam, like a column. The structure is existing. For that existing structure, due to the application of loads, what is the response in the form of shear force, in the form of compression, in the form of tension? What is the response of that structure I am calculating in the analysis. In case of design, what are you doing? We are giving what further requirements. We have to design something. So, for the given loading condition, what is the cross section I need to provide? For the given loading application in this direction, what is the thing, what is the length I need to give? All those things are coming under design. So analysis will have given dimensions and loads. So for the given dimensions and for the given loads, we will analyze that structure is having something. What are those outputs? For design, due to the application of loads, due to the applied loads, we will design, we will give the dimensions. Okay, we will loads given, and for that loads we will give the dimensions of the section. So we will generate the dimensions of the section. Okay, so these dimensions will be carried out, and in the analysis we are analyzing. Okay, therefore beams and structures are designed. Okay, we are designing the beams and structures using bending equation, considering the beam's maximum bending moment. So for the maximum bending moment of the load, we give the dimensions. So for designing for the loads and having the maximum bending moment, with that maximum bending moment answer, I will give the dimension. Flexural rigidity. So what is this flexural rigidity or flexural resistance? So the next point. So in this way, we are giving the condition. What is the condition we are doing? Simple bending condition may not occur, but I am taking the beam's maximum bending moment as the reference, because that section will not have any shear force. So based on the section's answer, I am giving the dimensions. Okay, I am giving the designs. That is the condition for the simple bending equation. Next, flexural rigidity or the flexural resistance. Pure bending of uniform sections, the beam will be deflected into circular arcs. This condition already we know. Yes, in case of pure bending, the beam will be deflected into circular arcs, and for this reason, the term circular bending is often used. As we have already mentioned, this type of bending I am calling as circular bending only. And the radius of curvature to which any beam bent into the applied moment is given by, as we have already got m by I is equal to E by R. So first two terms I have taken out. And R is equal to EI by M. This is the small rearrangement from the pure bending equation. What will he say? The radius of curvature to which any beam bends. So due to the application of M moment, it is taking some radius of curvature. Due to the application of some other moment, maybe some 100 kilonewton meter, it is taking some big circle shape, some 200 kilonewton meter. Due to that bending application, it may take some other radius of curvature. Yes? Okay. The radius of curvature to which any beam is bending by the applied moment capital M, that R is equal to EI by M. When we know how much amount of moment I am applying, based on that moment application, it will take the corresponding radius shape. Based on the moment application I am giving on to the beam, based on that moment answer, it will take the radius. If I am going for the bigger moment, it will take lesser radius. When I am taking the lesser moment, it will take very big radius. Okay. Hence, for a given bending moment, the radius of curvature is directly related to E into I. The multiplication of E into I is called as flexural rigidity. Okay. So, for given M value, R is related to E into I. For the given M value, R is directly related to E into I. Okay, since the radius of curvature is the direct indication of degree of flexibility of the beam, as we have already mentioned, the value of R is large, less will be the flexibility. So, the radius of curvature is very big. What it is saying? It is taking a very big shape. If I am having a beam like this, okay, and I am applying some moment. Due to the application of the moment, it is taking a very simple curvature. It is taking very simple curvature. So that what happens? The radius of curvature was less because it has bent easily. It is very flexible. Being it very flexible, it has bent easily and has taken a small circular segment with R radius. But if I am giving the material as stiffer, more stiff material is there. So even though I am giving the same amount, it will respond just simply like this. It will not take easily because it is not being flexible. It will not take more bend shape or more curve shape. What is happening here? I can get a small curve because the radius of curvature is this. But here it is being very stiff, very rigid. What is happening? This segment will be the portion of a very big circle. Okay. Since the radius of curvature is the direct indication of degree of flexibility of the beam, larger value of R is indicating lesser flexibility. See here, as it is being rigid, it is taking more R. So more R means lesser flexibility. E into I is known as flexural rigidity of the flexural stiffness of the beam, or so the multiplication of E into I am indicating as flexural rigidity or flexural stiffness of the beam. So what all these things are saying? When the material of the beam is enough stiff, it will take more radius of curvature. When the material is very flexible, it is easily bending. So due to this very flexible nature, it will not take very big circle, and the relative stiffness of the beam section can be easily compared with the E into I value. So the multiplication of E into I, flexural rigidity, indicates yes, this beam is having more stiffness. No, this beam is having lesser stiffness. Like that, we can get some clarity with the value of E into I. Okay, the relative stiffness of the beam section can be easily compared with one another with the value of E into I. And the next condition we are going is section modulus. Simply, it was a definition. What is a section modulus? So, the section modulus is being defined as the ratio of moment of area about the centroidal axis of the beam which is being subjected to a bending, and the distance. So, the ratio of moment of area about the neutral axis by distance of that layer or distance of the extreme layer from the neutral axis. Distance of extreme layer from the neutral axis, I by y maximum. What is this I? I we already know, that is the moment of inertia. And what is this y maximum? When we observe any section from the neutral layer, we have observed a layer which is at a distance y. When I go the outermost or the extreme position, there I can say this is the maximum y I can go. Beyond this I can't go. So the maximum y I am going is this one only. So similarly, the maximum y I am going this is this one only. Okay. Now the section modulus is the ratio of moment of inertia of the section about the neutral axis divided by distance of the outermost layer from the neutral axis. Okay. I by y maximum is indicated as section modulus. Z, section modulus is indicated with Z. Capital Z is equal to I by y maximum. So what is this I? Moment of inertia of the beam section about the neutral axis. What is the neutral axis? That is centroidal axis only. So moment of inertia of the beam section about the neutral axis or centroidal axis to the distance of the particular layer from the extreme fiber. Distance of the extreme fiber from the neutral axis. Either this value or this value. The extreme layer's distance I am writing as y maximum. So this section modulus will be calculated for different types of beams. As we have already said, rectangular beams, circular beams, halo type of beams, all those beams will be used based on the condition. So we will calculate section modulus for the different cross sections of the beams in the next class. So until now, please go through the pure bending theory equation which has been continued for the 3 more classes. So complete derivation and final equation as m by I is equal to sigma by y is equal to E by R. Each individual term, how we will involve all these terms, that thing you need to remember. And condition of this particular equation, and next thing we have go through this section modulus. Thank you. We will calculate the section modulus in the next class.